Okay, the concept we're doing today is interval notation. You've never seen it before, it's brand new, so make sure you pay attention to the details in this video. And students say all the time, do I have to do this? Do I have to use this marking? Yes you do, or else it is a few points off. So we're learning about interval notation. And what is interval notation? It is just another way of expressing the answer to an inequality. So we're going to do set notation, interval notation, and you already know the inequality notation. These are some of the symbols we're going to be using. So just like when we have a graph that looks like this, if this is 3, 4, 5, and 2, and 1, and we have an open circle means it is not a part of the solution, right? So when you see a parenthesis, that's an open circle. It means that number is not a part of the solution. When you see a closed circle, that means 3 is a part of the solution. So whenever you see a bracket, that number is included in the inequality statement. So parenthesis is open circle, bracket is closed circle. All right, we always use a parenthesis with infinite or negative infinity. Why? Because I don't know what infinity is. I can always go up 1 or down 1. So infinity, it's open circle because we don't know for certain what that number is. So always parentheses on there. Okay, so how does this look? Well, first, you've got to solve the inequality statement. So what do? We distribute if needed. I need to. I get my constant term on the right-hand side. So additive inverse is subtracting 12 to clear it out. And then I subtract 12 on both sides because of equality statement. I get 4x is greater than negative 36. I divide by 4, and I get x is greater than negative 9. Okay, that's my inequality statement. So this is my inequality statement, which I have to have. You're going to be asked to graph it, and when we graph it, this target number, negative 9, stays in the middle. And then I do 3 integers on the left, and I do 3 integers on the right. That's standard. That's what we're going to do all the time, but that target number is in the middle. Okay, I know it's open circle because it's greater than negative 9, and I shade all these numbers to the right of negative 9 are a part of the solution, right? So 0 is a part of the solution, 1, because all those numbers are greater than negative 9. That's what the graph looks like. So what is interval notation? All right. It is open circle, so it's going to be a parenthesis, and it starts at negative 9. This parenthesis means negative 9 is not a part of the solution. And then I'm going to separate it by a comma. And how far right is it going to go? It's going to go all the way into infinity. So I have infinity, and then parenthesis on infinity because it can't end at infinity. I don't know what infinity is. So it is a parenthesis. So when you look at interval notation, we are reading the graph left to right. That's what happens. So this graph starts at negative 9, parenthesis, and it goes to the right all the way to infinity, which is another parenthesis. So that's what interval notation is. All right, let's take a look at number 3. So I have to distribute if needed. I'm distributing the negative 2, so be careful. So it's negative 2x, and then negative 2 times the negative 4 is a positive 8. I combine my like terms to get 5x plus 8 is less than or equal to negative 2. I subtract 8 on both sides, clear it out, and I get 5x is less than or equal to negative 10. Divide both sides by 5, and x is less than or equal to negative 2. That's my inequality statement. That's what we're used to. So now, on my graph, the target number is negative 2. I go 3 integers to the left, and I go 3 integers to the right. Now, for negative 2, it is a closed circle on negative 2 because negative 2 is a part of the solution. And how far does it go? It's going to go all the way left. All the way left. All right. So we read this graph is left to right. So if I look at this graph, where is it going to start? It's going to start all the way at negative infinity. It's going to pass all those negative numbers and go all the way to negative infinity. So that's where I'm starting. Negative infinity. Infinity is always with a parenthesis. And then, how far right does it go? It goes all the way to negative 2. Is negative 2 a part of this solution? You betcha. So it is a bracket. So I look at brackets like it absolutely is negative 2. So if it's absolutely that number, you put a bracket around. Parentheses like, it's around it. It's not really it. So that's how you look at interval notation. All right, let's do number 6. Okay, so again, I get my variables on the left-hand side, so I'm going to do additive inverse to bring this 5x over. I get negative 3x minus 1 is less than or equal to 20. Add 1 to both sides. 3x is less than or equal to 21. I am dividing by a negative. Anytime you divide both sides by a negative, when you have equalities, alarm bells should go off in your head. Flip the sign, flip the sign. Dividing both sides by a negative, so I must flip that sign. And x is greater than or equal to negative 7. So, my target number is negative 7. 3 integers on the left. 3 integers on the right. Negative 7 is a part of this solution. So I'm going to close circle negative 7. And then it's going to be all the numbers that are greater than negative 7 are also a part of that solution. So this is what my graph looks like. So if I'm looking at this, where does my graph start? It starts at negative 7. And it absolutely is negative 7 because it's closed circle, so it has to have a bracket. And then where does this graph go? It goes all the way to positive infinity, and infinity always has a parenthesis around it. All right, let's do one more. Let's take a look at number 10. All right, so we distribute if needed. I need to. So negative 3x minus 3 minus 2x is greater than, distribute that negative 4, negative 4x plus 8 minus 2. Combine like terms over here to get negative 5x minus 3 is greater than negative 4x plus 6. So I've combined my like terms. Now, I want my variable terms on the left. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. I get negative x minus 3 is greater than 6. Add 3 to both sides to clear that 3 out. And I get negative x is greater than 9. I can't have a negative variable, so basically I divide everything by negative 1. So I get x. I'm dividing both sides by a negative, so I must flip my sign. I flip out. I flip my x, I flip my sign, I flip my 9. So x is less than negative 9. My target number is negative 9. I go 3 integers to the left, 3 integers to the right. Is negative 9 a part of the solution? It is not. So it's open circle on 9, but all these numbers to the left are definitely solutions to that inequality. So if I'm looking at this graph, where does it begin? Look at my arrow. It goes all the way to negative infinity, parenthesis around infinity, because I don't know what infinity is. And then how far right does it go? It goes to negative 9, but because negative 9 is not a part of the solution, it is a parenthesis around negative 9. Okay, so that's a little snippet of what interval notation is. If you need me, come see me.